day 4 of Unit 8. We're going to just go over the homework that was due today on finding the vertex. First one we had to do was question number 2. Remember, so we are trying to find the turning point or vertex, okay? And we're trying to do this algebraically. So remember, you can check using your graph, using your graphing calculator, but we do need to see all of the work. So to find the x value, we're going to use the axis of symmetry. So remember, x equals negative b over 2a. Again, this needs to be memorized. Okay, that gives you your x value. Once you have your x value, you substitute it back into the original equation. Solve negative 0.25. Alright, the next one was number 6. I wanted you to approximate the maximum. So remember, I told you to so first look at your x value. This is right halfway between negative 5 and negative 4. So I got negative 4.5. And then this one is right between, again, positive 4 and positive 5. So that would be 4.5 for your vertex. Alright, and for number 8, your graph 2a squared minus 9, your domain where it's increasing. Remember, when we're looking at increasing, we're looking at everything that is going up. Okay, so we look at our x value, and everything greater than 0 would be in your domain, right? Your range now, that one we look again at the vertex. Okay, this is at negative 9 and higher, so it has to be greater than or equal to negative 9. So if we want to do it in intervals, we could do negative 9 to infinity, or you can just say y is greater than or equal to negative 9. Our vertex is 0, negative 9, and then here and here are our zeros. Remember, we do second calc 0 in order to find those zeros. Alright, and the last one, we are trying to find the largest maximum. So what you need to do is find the vertex for each of these functions. So again, I would just put this into your calculator and see where the vertex is. Vertex, vertex, vertex. And again, we're looking at the y value. Okay, the y value. So you can clearly see that number 3 is 11.2, 4.5, 9.5, 6.25. So number 9 is 3. Alright, so today we are going to be solving real world quadratic equations. Real world quadratic equations. So before we do that, go ahead and do the do now. We want to find the axis of symmetry for y equals 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. Alright, so remember, to find the axis of symmetry, we have to use the equation x equals negative b all over 2a. So a is equal to 2 and b is equal to negative 5. So we're going to substitute those in. Remember, always put parentheses around whatever you are subbing in. Okay, so x is equal to negative 5 over 4. Oh, sorry, positive. Okay, negative times negative. Duh. Alright, and again, I always will take it in decimal form, but that is good for what we need. So I could also say 1.25. Okay, so we have a couple of multiple choice questions on the first page of today's homework, or of today's lesson. And what I want you to focus on is we really have to work on domain and range. Okay? So a ball is thrown into the air from the edge of a 48-foot high cliff. So it does start at 48. Okay? So it eventually lands on the ground. So they're throwing it up and then it falls down. The graph below shows the height of y of the ball from the group after x seconds. Okay? So for which interval is the ball's height always decreasing? Okay, so we're looking at decreasing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the vertex, which is right here. And then it's decreasing as we go above this point. Okay. So let's trace this down. Okay, so it is decreasing. So it's not going to be between two numbers that start with 0. All right. If you notice at 2, it's actually still going up a little bit. So our answer is going to be 3. So if you notice, and I shouldn't have drawn this little arrow right here, but because we're talking about real world, we actually have to stop right here. Try to get on that line a little bit better. There we go. So you can see that between these two intervals, that's when it's going down. All right, question number 2. The function h of t equals negative 16 t squared plus 144. Represent the height h of t in feet of an object from the ground at t seconds after it drops. Okay. So, so think of t, so this is going to be like f of x, okay? So t is x, and your y is going to be h of t, okay? So I want the domain. So already I know that it can't be 3 because that is the range. And it can't be 4 because we're talking about real numbers, so it can't be negative, okay? So actually, we can also take away 1. These are not very good choices because we don't care about this side of the graph, okay? So from here to here, which is 0 to 3, all right, that is what we want. So our domain is from 0 to 3. So choice 2 is our answer. All right, number 3. A swim team member performs a dive from 14-foot high springboard. The parabola below shows the path of her dive. So we want to know, what is the axis of symmetry? So I'm going to use a highlighter so you can still see through it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right to the center, and I'm just going to kind of go all the way down. Okay, so we know the axis of symmetry is a y equals, okay, and all they're looking for is to show you that you know that it's going to be the x equals. So x equals 3 is our answer. And easy. Hope you guys get that one on the region. All right, so for question number 4, the height f of x in feet a ball will reach when thrown in the air is given by the equation f of x equals negative 16x squared plus 30x plus 6. Find to the nearest tenth. Remember, we are looking at word problems, so please underline things like this. Okay, the nearest tenth in feet, so make sure you have feet in your answer. Okay, we want the maximum height. Okay, so all I did was I put our equation in here. Okay, so remember what we're going to do is we are going to go to second and then calc. And we're going to go down to maximum because it told us it's a maximum. Okay, so I'm going to scroll so that I am on the left side of the vertex. Keep scrolling. Ooh, too far. Go to the right side of the vertex and then press enter. Okay, so I want the maximum height. So I know, let's see, so my vertex is 0.9, 20.1. So let's answer the question. Find to the nearest tenth the maximum height in feet the ball will reach. All right, so the maximum height the ball will reach is 20.1 feet. Okay, that's all I need. That's all I need. I would definitely, I know it doesn't tell you to write the vertex, but I would definitely write that vertex down. Definitely. Okay, so number 5. Amy tossed a ball in the air in such a way that the path of the ball was modeled by the equation y equals negative x squared plus 8x. In the equation, y represents the height of the ball in feet, and x is the time in seconds. So we want to graph negative x squared plus 8x. So here's the thing, is when we get a question like this, the number one thing I'm going to ask you to do and pay attention to is how do I graph this for a real world problem. So the first thing I'll do is I'm definitely not going to do any negative x values, okay? Negative x values represent time, and we can't have negative time, so we're going to always start at 0. So I'm going to start at 0, and then I'm going to watch it wrap around. So it wraps around at 416, and then it goes back down to 0. So I just want to graph from 0 to 8. So here's what my graph is going to look like. Okay, please make sure you label. Okay, so we have height in seconds. Always write this down. Okay, the equation. Right here, all right, we don't have any arrows, okay? The other thing I do want added, let's see. Okay, so because we're going by ones, that's why they didn't. And you don't have to go the whole way up. You can. But this way you can see, so I wanted it spread out, so I went 1 for every 2 boxes. And then when I went up, I did them all on that. So again, you have to kind of see what they give you and then go based on that. Alright, so now I'm going to answer my questions. So for part B, they're asking us at what time x is the ball at its highest point. So at what time x? Okay, so again, this is why your table is very important. So remember, this is time, and this is height. Yeah, spelled height wrong. Okay, so at 4 seconds, The ball is at its highest point of, did they tell us, in feet, of 16 feet. Okay. What is the y-intercept? So the y-intercept is going to be 0, 0, okay, for the origin. And that's all we're looking for. All right, now so I've talked about the region a little bit. So multiple choice are worth 2 points, and then you have short answers that are 2 points, 4 points, and 6 points. This question was a 6-point question. Okay, so just to kind of show you how important it is that you understand how to do this, this could literally give you 6 points on the region if you get this right, and really it's not that bad. Okay, so as soon as, I know this is a lot of words, but as soon as you see an equation and a graph, throw that in your calculator. Okay, that is the first thing you should do, even if you don't know where to go. Okay, they definitely want you to graph it, so why don't we go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do, anytime you have a fraction, always put it in parentheses. Okay, and then plus 2/3 x, and go ahead and graph that. Did I forget my squared? Must have. Okay, so if you notice, we can't see everything on our graph. It looks like it's a straight line, so I thought that we plugged it in wrong, but if you look right here, it tells us that we want from the interval of 0 to 150. So what that tells me is that we have to change our window. Okay, so we're going to go to window, and I'm going to change my x maximum to 150 because it told me to. Okay, so now let's graph that and see what it looks like. Okay, so at least it looks like it's going upward. So now I'm going to change, let's add a little bit, make this a little bit higher to 30. All right, there we go. So now we can see our perfect curve. So now let's go to our table, and I'm going to start at 0 again. Okay, and I'm only going to take the, so I'm going to do 0, see if I get another whole number. There we go, 15, 9. So you're going to keep scrolling down until you get a decent amount of numbers. Okay. Again, just to save time. Okay, so here are the good numbers I want. Remember, you always want to go from 0 to 0 for your x, or for your y, I mean. So you want to make your nice curve, all right? So once you get your table, then you can kind of figure out how to do your graph, how to to label it. So I did for every 2, I did 15. And again, yours can be, honestly, even if you went 5, 10, 15, I mean, I want you to show the whole graph, and you have to go to 150, okay? So, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So even if you went by tens, as long as there's 15, that would be fine. So if you were to graph this and you didn't choose the exact ones that I did, that's okay, as long as you show the whole entire curve. And again, you have to graph it from 0 to 150. Okay, they're telling you that's where it drops. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is determine the vertex, but we're also going to explain what that means as well. So the first thing we can see is the vertex is right here. Okay, so 75, 25 is the vertex. Okay, so for sake of time, I just have this written down for you. So we found the vertex is 75.25. Now, because it says interpret the meaning, you have to write a sentence. So all this means is after a distance of 75 feet, the football reaches the maximum height of 25 feet. That's literally all you have to say. Okay? That's all they want you to. They want you to understand what it means by the x and what it means by the y and what that vertex means. So think about them kicking a football and it's going up and up and up and up and then it drops down. Okay? Most of the time they're going to give you questions where you're throwing a ball or you're dropping something. So it's always going to give you this kind of U-shaped curve, which we know is a quadratic. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, the goalpost is 10 feet high. Okay, so I see the word feet and then I see the word yards. So don't forget, you do have to do a conversion if they ask. Remember, this is a 6-point question, so you got to work for it. So at 45 feet, will the ball land high enough to pass over the goalpost? Okay. So, let's see. So the goalpost is 100 and, let's see. Okay. So this is 10 feet high. They want to know that if at 45 yards away, will the ball be high enough to pass over? So what we're going to do is we're going to look, let's see, so 45 yards, sorry, so 45 yards is 135 feet. So what we're going to do is we're going to go onto our graph and we will see, let's see, okay. So notice that it only will go 9 feet high. So since the goalpost has to be 10 feet high, it will not be high enough. Okay? So basically they want you to use your graph in order to answer this question. Okay? So not a difficult one, but definitely time consuming. Okay, for homework, flip to the next page, page 17. There are 5 questions for you to answer. So if you have any questions, let me know.